Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. So Ablazeolive, as you can see him up on the screen, this is a guy who's been kind of just a really exciting young up-and-coming North American mid lane talent for a couple of years now. He's been very solid in the academy scene, and people have just kind of been waiting for when he's actually going to get his big breakout opportunity. It seems like he's been in conversations and discussions with teams before about maybe potentially going to be their starter for the year, but then every time something crazy happens, and finally this year, he's getting his big break and his big opportunity with Golden Guardians. And yeah, people don't really have very high expectations for this team, but so far in the lock-in tournament, you know, they just got eliminated this weekend in the quarterfinals, but people weren't really even projecting them to make the quarterfinals, and really even in their losses, there's still some silly mistakes because they are a very inexperienced team. They have shown some signs of life and like a play style that is really kind of getting people excited, and it feels like Golden Guardians is slowly kind of climbing up people's power rankings headed into the beginning of the actual LCS season. But in this video today, I want to talk about a really interesting story from this weekend and really from the past couple of weeks of just what was going on with Ablazeolive behind the scenes and how, you know, maybe some things that could have affected his performance a little bit. It is kind of a crazy story that is pretty interesting and a little bit scary too. But before we get into that, I should mention real quick, if you're not already subscribed, definitely click that subscribe button really quick. It's fast, it's free, it's easy, helps you guys stay up to date on all my latest content, and I would appreciate it a ton. I think 70% of the people that watch my videos on a regular basis are not subscribed. So you, just because my videos are popping up and you're recommended or whatever, you might think you're subscribed, but you might not be. You might want to check and see. And then even if you're just not subscribed and know you're not subscribed, still consider doing it. It helps me out a ton. Also, dropping a like on this video if you do enjoy it, or if you just want to support me and my content, that would be awesome as well. Always drop some likes, you know. It's just one really simple thing you can do that goes a super long way for people. So yeah, spread that positivity around, help a brother out. With that being said, here we go, getting right into today's video. It all starts out, I mean, it starts out a while ago. We'll get to that, but kind of where it started getting on people's radar was this tweet, where Golden Guardian said, due to health concerns, Ablazeolive was unable to play in yesterday's scrims. We were unsure if Olive or Yunbi would be starting until late this morning. Olive has since begun to feel better and will be playing versus EG, but we will incur a fine and lose our 5th ban game 1. And this got people, like this guy saying, how come you're incurring a fine? What have you done wrong? He's worrying about your player's health, some capital offense, and that got 13 likes, and I thought that was hilarious. And that's kind of what I was wondering too. You know, things didn't click in my head right away. I was like, what is going on? Like, what could they possibly have done wrong against the rules to, you know, be losing a ban and getting fined and stuff? It was all super weird. But it all started to make, I mean, that part didn't make sense. They did clarify that later, but it also got me thinking, like, what happened to Ablazeolive? What's been going on with him? Like, this is crazy. But then it got me thinking back to the things I'd seen on Twitter over the past couple of weeks, where I'd been following Ablazeolive and he had maybe been tweeting some weird stuff, but I never really put 2 and 2 together to really figure out what was going on with him. So then that got me looking back at his tweets where on January 22nd, so this was a couple days before, he said, I woke up and barfed today. That's not a good sign. And yeah, obviously that's not a good sign. I don't even know, the tweets may have started even earlier than this as well, but this is the first one that I started noticing. I was like, you know, I didn't really think much of that. I was just like, oh, it's kind of weird. It must just be like some, you know, one-time random thing. But then, you know, as we get closer to game day, he does have some more things going on. He says, incredibly frustrated with my health, and this got me pretty generally curious. But again, if he doesn't, you know, feel comfortable giving us updates about exactly what's going on, there's really no way you know, anyone could know what's going on. I was concerned and stuff. Then I saw him tweet this out, frustrating that the medical advice I could have received 2 weeks ago was only told to me after 2 more trips to the hospital for whatever reason. So this is also really crazy. This kind of puts us in the realm that this had been going on for at least 2 weeks, that he had been having some kind of issue. So I'm sure it dates back to it. That doesn't mean he was necessarily tweeting about it before then. But then also, he's talking about 2 weeks of going through, you know, whatever medical issue he's having, and then taking 2 trips to the hospital as well, or 2 more trips to the hospital, so maybe up to 3 trips to the hospital. And I'm just thinking, like, man, the schedule of a League of Legends professional player, especially during the season as we're kicked off now, is insane. You are scrimming so much, you are practicing so much, you're playing solo queue so much. I mean, you barely have time to do other stuff. Like, just now, recently, last couple of years, players are realizing how important, like, exercise is and eating right and kind of socializing and having some work-life balance and stuff. But still, players are retiring at such a young age because the schedule is so jam-packed and everyone feels like they need to play a ton to stay at the top of their game. And I guess for a large part, a lot of people do need to play a ton to stay at the top of their game. So the fact that he's been dealing with medical issues, which I can't even imagine. Like, if you were dealing with something, having to just play video games and, you know, be stressed out and playing at your best the whole day, that's got to be difficult. But then also, where in your schedule do you have time for 3 hospital visits? Like, I work in the healthcare field, and I know that you're not getting in and out of the hospital fast. It's a lot of waiting, it's a lot of sitting around, it's, hours, and then do that, times 3. This had to be incredibly difficult for just how well he's playing, how well he's being able to practice and utilize his time, but also there has to be so much going on in his head, and then with his body as well. Like, man, I mean, it's crazy, and it could absolutely affect his play and the play of Golden Guardians. So to know that he's been going through all these things, and that he's been able to do decently well. I mean, he hasn't been amazing, but it's not like he's been exceptionally terrible or anything like that either. Really gets me thinking that, man, like they tweet out, if his health problems are subsiding, that he could really, in the next couple of weeks, we could see some big upward steps for him and some upward trajectory, as he actually has time to play, and he actually feels well, and he actually has time to practice and can actually focus on getting better at the game and stuff. I don't know if there was, and then these were also the tweets that caught my attention as well. He tweeted out, "I'm defeated," which I assume was talking about his health issues, and he said, "Just kidding, I win these." So then that got me excited, and then obviously Golden Guardians did end up clarifying their tweets because there was so much speculation and everything going around. People were super confused. He said, for additional clarity, Nick, who is Ablazeolive, has been dealing with issues caused by a kidney stone for most of January. Again, like he said, a couple of weeks. That fits in the timeline, and it finally passed this morning. We submitted today's roster past the deadline. We're thankful Nick is feeling better and will continue to prioritize player health. So again, they had Yoonbi slotted into play. They decided to go with Ablazeolive once his kidney stone passed. So then he was ready to go. They took the fine. They took the loss of bans. It's just a preseason tournament, doesn't matter. The fine probably sucked because Golden Guardians is one of these teams that's trying to save money, but again, prioritizing player health, and also wanting to get Ablazeolive more practice and stuff. But man, to know that for, again, like I said, most of January, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more, he was dealing with kidney stones. Like, oh man, again, this is not something I have any personal experience with, but being in healthcare, being around people who've had this issue before, I've heard this is one of the most painful things in the world, and it would absolutely make sense why he was throwing up in the middle of the night, because it could just be from pain, it could be from other issues that your body's having as a response or reaction to that. I mean, the pain, they literally compare it to childbirth, because it is just an immense stabbing pain, and then to pass a kidney stone, I don't know if you guys know what that means. That means peeing it out. Like, oh man, that just makes my whole body shake just thinking about that. That has to hurt so bad, but obviously the relief after is so insane, but just the process of going through that and having just a rock, essentially, going through your body, through all your little tubes and stuff, oh my gosh, like, I can't even imagine what he was going through. And yes, obviously, if he's throwing up in the middle of the night, he's probably not sleeping well. He's probably having so many issues. And I mean, when we go to like take a look at it, yes, during the Evil Geniuses series, he was probably feeling a lot better. Obviously, once things subsided. And in the first game, he's 5-3-2 on Orianna. And even though Evil Geniuses kind of stomps all over, it wasn't a total stomp. GG was competitive for a little bit. Ablazeolive looked like one of the better performing members. Yes, in the game 2, he didn't have as good of a game, 0-5-3 on Twisted Fate. But man, this Evil Geniuses team is playing really good right now, and they really are kind of a loaded roster. In the end, it was just pretty crazy that I was always wondering what exactly he was going through, if we were ever going to find out what was going on with him and how maybe it was affecting his play and his practice and all that stuff. And I mean, to find out that's what he was going through was really eye-opening, was really surprising. And then obviously getting the explanation from Golden Guardians and everything, and seeing that, yeah, they lost a ban, they got fined, he probably lost a ton of practice time, he probably lost a ton of scrim time. Who knows how much they've been playing with Yoonbi, how much they've been playing with Blaze, who knows just what percentage he's been able to play at. And now that this is all gone, how well, is he going to unlock? Because again, people did not have very high expectations for this Golden Guardians team coming into the season. I think rightfully so. Very inexperienced team who doesn't look great on paper. But man, they're really surprising people. And all of a sudden, I don't think too many people would be surprised over the course of the season to see this team be better than Dignitas, to be better than Immortals, to maybe be better than like a CLG even. Because Iconic has been a lot, pretty much better than anyone could have possibly expected. Niall seems like a big playmaker. He kind of throws sometimes too, but hopefully he'll learn how to dial it back eventually. Stixay maybe doesn't look as terrible as he looked last year. Ablazeolive looks solid. Newbie has had some decent games. I haven't been as impressed with him, but yeah, I mean, there's just a lot going on. I really think now that obviously Ablazeolive isn't going through some of these things, he could really ramp up the next couple of weeks, and that could be an exciting thing for Golden Guardians to have another player, continuing this upward trajectory, because they are a young and experienced team that you kind of expect to get better over the course of the year, hopefully. I mean, that's what they're planning at least. But on the other side, as far as health and stuff, I mean, sometimes the kidney stones and stuff are just genetic, or they just happen, and it's just happenstance. But obviously, sometimes they are kind of affected by poor habits, whether it's dietary or just, it could be specific things you're eating or just habits that you have and stuff like that. So hopefully he is able to get these things under control, because once you have one, I mean, you're definitely at risk for this to be a recurring issue. They can really start to pile up. And again, if he's feeling the side effects of like throwing up and feeling terrible, and hopefully that does motivate him to do some things to not have this happen again, especially during the League of Legends season, where there's just not enough hours in the day for anyone on earth ever, but especially for a professional League of Legends player. And yeah, you do not want to be feeling like shit all day. You do not want to be running back and forth to the emergency room or to the hospital or whatever and spending hours and spending nights there. So hopefully he does get this under control, and hopefully he starts to feel better. But yeah, just a pretty crazy story. Something I hadn't really heard of in the professional esports scene before. But yeah, I could definitely see how this could affect him. But again, I'm glad that this has passed. I'm glad he's all good to go, and hopefully, it's just onward and upward here for Golden Guardians and Ablazeolive the rest of the season, because I do like this guy. I'm kind of rooting for him. North American mid laner. Want to see him do well. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this crazy situation? Do you think it could have possibly been affecting his play? Do you think he's going to get better from here on out, or do you think it maybe wasn't that big of a deal and it's just going to be fine? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to stay updated on all my latest content. Came and talk. Hopefully, catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.